I never gave permission for Netflix to use my name or likeness in anything that they did. In the documentary, my mom and Jennifer said that Tiffany manipulated me into thinking that my mom was stealing my money. Tiffany never did that. I didn't need anyone to manipulate me because it was the truth.
There's a difference between being a mature man and not an adult child. Now that you are an adult, I will treat you like one. It was never a private matter because of all you do on social media.
I love that she's serving like 2016 millennial YouTuber apology video in this. With the hoodie, a Jentzen hoodie with like dog fur all over it, looking solemn, sitting on the floor. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the aftermath of the Netflix documentary, Bad Influence, The Dark Side of Kidfluencing. Hey guys, it's Jordan Sparks. Welcome back to my channel. So I'm assuming by now that most of you guys, if you clicked on this video, have already seen Bad Influence, The Dark Side of Kidfluencing, the documentary that covers Piper Raquel and the squad, and the mistreatment of all of these kids by her mom, Tiffany Smith. Now, I was saying in some of my previous videos how I didn't really trust the moms that were featured in this documentary and their narrative that they were kind of painting, so we're going to be taking a look at that. Also, Jentzen has come forward and made an 18-minute video exposing the documentary and how he didn't give consent for himself to be in this documentary, as well as other members of the squad did not consent to this documentary. And we're going to be taking a look at Jentzen's mom's unhinged response that she posted on YouTube as a follow-up to Jentzen's video. Also, if you want early access to all of my videos on this channel, as well as extended versions of Dance Mom's reactions and other videos and exclusive content, you can check out my Patreon in the pinned comment as well. And if you sign up for my top of the pyramid tier, then you also get a shout out in all of my videos. Alright, so first we're gonna get started by taking a look at the video that Jentzen posted on his YouTube channel. And Jentzen is the boyfriend of Eliana. He was in the squad until his mom forced him to leave, basically. If you watch the documentary, you know. But basically, he posted a video complaining that he did not actually give consent for himself to be in this documentary, that they had approached him, but he decided that if it was going to go in the direction that he thought it was, that he didn't want anything to do with it. But they put him in it anyways. We're going to take a look at his video, and then we're going to take a look at his mom's response to that video and break it down. So let's get into it.
Alright guys, it's time I share my side of the story. I never wanted any of this to be online, but with everything going on and the hate that my family was receiving, I can't say nothing anymore. There's been a lot happening behind the scenes for the last 4 years with my family, and it's all stayed behind the scenes until my mother decided to release this article online.
Alright, so I'm not really sure what the article is that he's referring to, so let's see if I can dig it up for you guys. Alright, so I looked it up and I was able to find the article that they're referring to, and I believe that this article is probably the source article for the Netflix documentary, but the headline for the article reads, when Jonna, I think Jonah or Jonna, I don't know how you say her name, but we're going to call her Jonna, but it says, when Jonna Ramirez's son joined a wildly popular circle of tween YouTube influencers, it seemed like he was fulfilling his Hollywood dreams. But in the squad, fame and fortune came at a cost. It goes on to read, Hollywood is the last place you'd expect to meet Jonna K. Ramirez. She doesn't come across as cutthroat. Thin with auburn hair and warm eyes, Jonna is thoughtful when she speaks and quick to apologize when she goes on a tangent. And you guys, if we were to break down this entire article, we would be here for days. Like, I was scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and this article is so long. It's honestly like an ebook, to be completely honest. That's why I think that this is kind of the foundation for the Netflix documentary. But basically, in this interview-style article, it's like a tell-all about everything that happened in the squad and the lawsuit and how all of the members came forward together to sue Piper Raquel's mom, Tiffany Smith, and how it was settled and yada yada yada. So that's what the article is about. If you really would like to read it, I can leave the link to it in the pinned comment. But essentially, as the backstory, that is the article that Jentzen is referring to in this video that he's making. So let's get back into his video.
She was the one who first took things public with my family. I never said anything because I still wanted a possible relationship with my mother. I let people believe lies about me and my family. Then, my mom decides to go on one of the biggest streaming platforms in the entire world and share my family's story.
So obviously, firstly, he was referring to the Crushed article, but now he's referring to the Bad Influence, The Dark Side of Kidfluencing documentary, and back to Jentzen.
So now, I have no choice but to defend myself. And guys, I'm not doing this to attack my mom. I never wanted for any of this to happen. I never wanted my relationship with my mother to be this way. But I feel like I have to do this for my own sake. And guys, before I get into the stuff with my mom, I wanted to make sure these 3 things were very clear. I never gave permission for Netflix to use my name or likeness in anything that they did.
Now, honestly, this isn't the only person that I've heard from the squad. I have an inside source that says that there was somebody else that didn't give them any release to be in this documentary either, but I think that they probably figured with this documentary that everything fell under fair use, but I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot of lawsuits.
Tiffany also did not manipulate me into doing and making the decisions that I made. I haven't talked to Tiffany in a very long time, and she certainly didn't push me to make the decisions that I made in the past either. And also, I am not trying to discredit anyone who is a victim of in any way, shape, or form. I feel for all of those people. I'll be explaining those 3 things in way more detail at the end of this video. In the early days of my career, in the early days of my YouTube channel, which we all knew and we all loved, my mom was there. And she helped me film and she helped me edit a lot of the videos in the beginning. But she went behind my back and created a company. She signed legal documents with...
Okay, first, I don't understand why he's got like this smirk on his face the entire time. It's just like off-putting to me. Like, this isn't a Disney Channel read. And yeah, I wasn't watching your YouTube channel, so we weren't all here and we weren't all loving it. But I think it's easy for him to say that he wasn't persuaded or pressured by anything that Tiffany did, but at the same time, he was also a child, so I'm not really sure that we can take that at face value. Now, about this section where he says that she went behind his back, we're going to get into that because his mom responded to these claims as well, and I'm kind of leaning towards trusting his mom, even though I find her to be a little bit manipulative, but like I said, we'll get to her in a minute. Let's get back into it.
She went behind my back and created a company. She signed legal documents without my knowledge or my consent to where she owned 50% of my company, where she got 50% of all revenue that I brought in, 50% of my YouTube AdSense, 50% of my brand deals. All of it.
So he's basically claiming that his mom takes 50% of all of his earnings as like a business and that his dad didn't even know. Now, the mom says that it was for some other account, which like I said, we'll get to in a minute, but I'm kind of leaning towards believing her, but without any receipts, who are we supposed to believe? If it's in some other account, where's that money today?
In the documentary, my mom and Jennifer said that Tiffany manipulated me into thinking that my mom was stealing my money. Tiffany never did that. I didn't need anyone to manipulate me because it was the truth. These are the bank statements of my mom taking my money. I was hurt by it. I worked hard for that money. And it would just get taken away.
He does use the words get taken away. I'm not sure if he knows that she's not keeping the money for herself, or at least that's kind of what she's proposing in her video. But I'm not really sure what this situation is. And if it is true that she was basically just siphoning out all of this money, well, we've seen this time and time and time again with child stars, and I guess this would just be another textbook example of that.
As time kept moving, my mom filed for divorce. And after all of that, since my mom still had control over all of my assets, she went behind my back again and created another bank account where she would transfer all my money from YouTube and brand deals into it. She grew it to over $100,000. I saw it with my own eyes on her laptop.
Now, I find this interesting because in the mom's video that we're going to look at later, she's like boo-hooing about how she's on food stamps and has absolutely no money. So I'm like, for one, get a job. And for two, where's this $100,000?
And speaking of money, a little bit further on down the line, my mom would deny me brand deals. Not because there was anything wrong with the brand deal, but it was because she was afraid she wouldn't get a piece of it.
That is completely true. That's such a skeezy scumbag thing to do. Like, you're not doing any brand deals unless I'm benefiting.
There was this particular deal where I was offered a large amount of money, in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And because she was afraid that she wouldn't get a piece of it, she said no. So I lost out on that too.
Now, this I'm a little bit confused about because I'm like, if she was a manager, wouldn't she just get a percentage anyways? I'm just curious, like, what was the determining factor whether she was going to get a cut of the money or not?
So, when you hear people in the documentary saying that they were exploited, this is where I was financially exploited. By my own mother. Not by anyone else. So obviously things were rocky with my family.
I understand the desire to post a video to defend yourself, but I'm like, this feels like it should be a private conversation. And at the same time, I'm like, you're not really even defending yourself because you were being defended in the documentary. I guess it's more just like setting the record straight.
We went to counseling, try and make things better, try and solve things, try and solve issues between all of us. That whole experience sucked for me. It turned out it was all a waste of time. Because my mom, while we were going through counseling, had already filed for divorce. So why were we going through counseling? I have no idea.
I mean, I personally applaud the entire family for going to counseling, because family counseling, whether you're going to be staying together as a family or you're going to be co-parenting or you're going to be completely separated, etc., it's always going to be beneficial. Like, there's no downside to going to therapy or seeking counseling at any point. So I applaud them whether they were staying together or not.
But she filed for divorce, and I had to witness my dad getting served. She left the house, and I watched it. He got served with a stack of papers about this big. I don't know why you'd want your kid to see that, or you'd want to put them through that. I was about 14 at the time.
Now, again, I understand that would be traumatizing, and I feel bad for him, but at the same time, it's messy when you're in a divorce, and the kids are always going to be affected and impacted by that. But at the same time, she can't just like stay in an unhealthy marriage. At some point it needs to come to an end, and you're going to have to be served regardless, one way or the other.
Because things were so messy with my parents' divorce, and no one could make any decisions, the court, the judge, the professional people decided that they saw fit that my sister would be my temporary guardian, which meant she could make decisions for me because I was a minor, but she could only make personal decisions, meaning about school and my well-being and my health and all these things. None of that's normal. You don't communicate with your mom over email, but I had to. This whole thing with my mom prevented me from doing what was best for myself and what was best for myself financially. I couldn't invest my money. I couldn't buy a car for myself when I turned 16.
I couldn't buy a car for myself when I turned 16. That's not a normal thing, sweetheart. I understand where he's coming from, and I would be bitter too if I was a kid and I was pulled from an opportunity like that. But at the same time, as a parent, you just have to also protect your children, and I don't feel like she was entirely acting out of malice. I don't feel like this mom is a victim by any means, but we've seen how Tiffany runs and how she operates in the squad and all of the other victims that have come out of this situation. So I do feel like it's acting in your child's best interest to get your kids out of that situation, no matter the cost. I understand him being upset about it, but I just feel like it's something that maybe he'll understand when he's older. Maybe not.
I was stuck in a house. I couldn't move. I couldn't invest my money into property if I wanted to. I couldn't do anything with my money. The money that I was making was an incredible blessing. And I couldn't have done it without you guys, and I'm forever thankful. Because of my mom and all these difficult things that I went through, I couldn't set myself up for success with it. I couldn't give back to the people I love. Couldn't do anything. And with all that money that I'll be forever thankful for you guys for, I'd give 50% of it into his savings account for my mom to have a chance at getting.
See there, a savings account, 50% of the money where his mom has a chance at getting. That's where I feel like he's being a little bit shady with this video, because it's like, okay, did your mom really steal all of your money, or is all of your money still sitting there in a savings account?
Most of it went to paying for attorney's fees. At the end of everything, to settle with my mom, I had to negotiate with her. I had to negotiate my freedom from my mother. It was never about doing what was best for me. The fact that I had to negotiate with my mom so I can go be successful, you would think that's what a mother would want for her child. But no. She, during the negotiation process, wanted $25,000 and she would leave me be. I was able, even though she is a very stubborn person, I was able to get it down to $17,500.
To me, it is so American and so crazy, the idea of going to court to battle your family about money in the first place. But my only guess is that she wanted a portion of the money in order to cover her own attorney's fees. But that is my only possible guess. Otherwise, I'm like, that is so corrupt as a mother to be like trying to get an amount of your kid's money. Like, why do you need a portion? Like, get your greedy hands off. It's your own kid.
Ended up paying $17,500 to my mom to leave me alone. That whole process that I just mentioned was so that I could emancipate myself. And that wasn't because I didn't want my mom to be my mother. It wasn't because I didn't want my dad to be my father. It was because I was stuck. I was stuck in a situation where I couldn't do anything. I was trapped. It was my only way out, and it was my only freedom. And to make this very clear, to prove why my mom was lying in the documentary, I emancipated myself a year or two after I left the squad. A year or two of me not even talking to Tiffany. So if I was not in the squad and if I wasn't talking to Tiffany, then how did Tiffany manipulate me?
I'm not necessarily saying that Jentzen was manipulated by Tiffany, though I do think that he was pressured to do weird things. He was probably just on board with it, but they're not things that should have been suggested by an adult in the first place is the issue. I just think that the whole situation with Tiffany is toxic, regardless of whether he thinks fondly of this or not. But yeah, this whole emancipation and stuff, there was a bunch of things in the documentary with the moms that I was just giving like deep side eye to, like, this doesn't really add up. And the first time that you saw these things going on and you left your kids there, you were just kind of enabling this behavior. So why are we complaining about it now after we watched it happen for years and just went along with it to get the money?
She didn't. I did it on my own because it was what was best for me. You can't just emancipate yourself. You have to go before a judge, and the judge has to approve it, in which he did. He thought it was the best decision, and it was what was in my best interest.
He then goes on to air out some more dirty laundry between his family and his mom, I guess, like mother like son. And I just don't understand why this all has to be on the internet.
Part of having a healthy relationship with your parents involves trust. My mom, when our family was going through this mess, would go into my room after I would leave, and she would go through my text messages. My text messages with my girlfriend, my text messages with everyone, with my sister. She would take photos of those text messages and use them against me in court.
Okay, this personally irks me when people don't give their kids any privacy whatsoever, that they'll go through their text messages or go through their rooms and look through all of their stuff or read their diaries. But I know that people have very boldly differing opinions on this. Let me know what your opinion is. Would you think that it's appropriate to go through your kids' text messages and go through their belongings, read their diaries so that you know what's going on in their life? Or do you feel like it is more appropriate to give your kid a sense of boundaries and a sense of respecting their privacy and not doing that? Or do you think that it's something that, like, up until a certain age, you should be surveillancing this kind of stuff, and then after a certain age, you should be able to have this freedom of privacy? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, because I know that that's definitely a polarizing topic. But not only did she go through all of his information and everything, she also brought it to court. What?
Here are the photos on screen. There are many more instances of that happening. She also proceeded to betray my sister's trust as well. She went into my sister's room and stole her very personal diary. I didn't even know my sister had a diary. That's how personal it was. But my mom found it, and she took pictures of that as well. Pictures of things my sister had written down that she never wanted anyone to see, and used them in court against her to paint my sister in a way that she was unhealthy mentally, almost suicidal. And if anyone knows my sister, that is so far from the truth. And if you ask me, from this specific scenario alone, if anyone is mentally unright, it's not my sister. It's not me. It's the person who is betraying their kids' trust and taking photos of these things and using it against them in court. I don't see how you logically come to that conclusion. I don't see how that makes you think you're gonna have a good relationship with your kids. Alongside taking pictures of those things, my mom accused me of doing drugs and filming inappropriate content that can't go on YouTube in a word that I can't say in this video, which was so far from the truth. She was reaching at anything she could.
Like, I get wanting to go set the record straight about things that happened in the documentary, but why does he feel the need to completely air out his mom in this video? I don't get it. Obviously, his mom did a lot of fucked up shit, but at the same time, a lot of this is just personal, private stuff that I wouldn't feel the need to air out on the internet. But let's get into his mom's response video for a minute before we finish off this video.
Jentzen, I don't agree with what you're saying or how you're saying it, but I do understand your perspective. Pain, anger, and resentment about the squad, about our family situation, your new life, and how betrayed you feel by me. And it breaks my heart.
Like, is it just me that feels like this is a little dystopian? Like, why is this a conversation that I'm watching happen over YouTube? Like, why is this not a private conversation between a son and a mother? Or just like one of you just like takes the high road and doesn't post it on YouTube? I don't know.
I protected and saved my 14-year-old son who didn't want to be saved or protected. And I believe all he ever wanted from me was to love and respect him and his boundaries and let him stay in the squad with his friends. And I didn't, and I'm sorry. Your grandmother, who died while fighting for you, she and I, and even your sister Liana at that point, fought tooth and nail to save you and protect you from a predator and her supporters who constantly came after my minor child, even at Anaheim. And in that process, embarrassed and humiliated you in front of your friends. And for that, I'm sorry.
These are such like backhanded apologies. I just got to say that I would be wanting to pull my children away from Tiffany as well. But at the same time, the tone of this is just so like manipulative-y.
I destroyed a world that you numerous times told me that you felt happy and safe in. A world where the rest of the family didn't see what the big deal was. And for that, I'm sorry. A world where you had adventures, fun, laughs, made lots of money in, and was blinded by the glamour. But all things that glitter are not gold.
I love that she's serving like 2016 millennial YouTuber apology video in this. With the hoodie, a Jentzen hoodie with like dog fur all over it, looking solemn, sitting on the floor.
I understand why a child wouldn't grasp the magnitude of the situation, or why 11 of their families filed a $22 million lawsuit against that environment I risked it all to save my child from. An environment so bad, a major studio like Netflix produced a documentary to show that this was not okay for my son or any other child.
Okay, so she's saying a lot of truths, but I just want to point out some things that she's saying that points to the fact that it's more important to her that she protects her reputation and that this video is for the public and not for Jentzen. Okay, so for one, I agree with her that I wouldn't expect a child to understand it if he's getting all of this money and there's all of this glamour and fame and yada, yada, yada. It's just like pulling your kid out of Dance Moms. The kids don't really understand it and they're pissed that they get pulled away from all of these opportunities, but the mom is just trying to protect their kid. Okay, I'm on board with that. However, she then goes to say like, oh, I was doing this for protecting my kid and you wouldn't understand, and it was so bad that 11 kids filed a lawsuit, and Netflix, such a big corporation, even made a documentary about this, and blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, if you listen to your son's video, he started off the video by just telling you that he's going to sort things out and set the record straight about the documentary in the first place because the documentary wasn't very truthful and painted things in a false narrative. So you using the documentary by a really big corporation to substantiate your claims doesn't really work. And it makes it sound more like you're trying to prove that what you were saying is correct instead of actually talking to your son and apologizing or having some kind of heart-to-heart conversation. It's more like, hey, public, look, Netflix believed me and they put me in this documentary, so you should believe me, right?
I'm sorry that our family has been torn apart over this. And I'm sorry that you don't have enough people around you, family included, to explain why a loving parent, for no amount of money, would leave their child in an unsafe environment.
And I'm sorry that you don't have anybody around you. These apologies are so backhanded, I can't handle it. But let's get back into Jentzen's video.
Other things that she did when I lived with my mom was put cameras all over the interior of the house to watch me, to track me. She put a camera in her room.
Ugh, now that's messed up. You are not going to be filming me inside my own house. I'd be out of there in a flash.
I don't know why. She would invite random men over to the house, but one day I showed up at the house and one of them was yelling at me. My mom was so paranoid about everything that was going on. She would put baby powder at the foot of her door to see if anyone of her kids would walk in her room. One day I tried to come home to the house that I was living at with my mother, and she had barricaded the door so I couldn't get inside.
Yeah, I don't know. I fully believe everything that he's saying. This mom sounds truly, truly unhinged, and I'm sorry that he had to go through that with this mom, and that the people that he thinks are a strong support system are like Tiffany and Eliana's family, because like, oh, there's just so much better out there for a support system. I feel bad for the kid.
I did not agree to be in the documentary. They never had permission to use my likeness or image, and they did not pay me. The producers contacted me and sent me this release for them to use my likeness and my image. I never signed it, and then they did it anyways, and they did not have my permission. They also did not have permission to use me in any of the promotional materials. I also did tell the producers that I would not feel comfortable participating in the documentary if it took the direction that I believed it would take, which it did.
I love that in this video there's like zooms and close-ups and distant shots. I'm like, why are we bothering making this video cinematic? Okay, that being said, I feel like this was my first concern when I saw that this documentary was coming out in the first place. I'm like, isn't Tiffany going to be able to sue the pants off of these producers somehow? And with the kids that are not consenting to the documentary, I'm like, isn't that really bold of this company to release this to Netflix and for Netflix to post it? Or do they know something that I don't know? Is this like completely fair use even in the streaming platform world? Because I know here on YouTube that it's not a problem at all. We react to content all the time and it falls under fair use. But to release it on a streaming platform, I feel like is a little bit different. I don't know, but I feel like there's a lot of people that want to go sue Happy on the production of this documentary.
I also do not agree how Netflix portrayed the events, especially relating to my mom. And for the record, it is of my personal belief and my legal counsel's opinion that this violates my publicity rights under the California Code. So whenever they used my name and my face in the promotional material, it misrepresented who I am and gave the impression that I agreed with my mom's version of the events.
So that right there tells us the reason why this video has been posted and why there's so much airing out of all of this dirty laundry between him and his mom and the family. This is kind of like, this is something that his lawyer would have definitely urged him to release, and I feel like this is kind of like his witness impact statement on the whole situation.
As far as Tiffany manipulating me, I majorly disagree with a ton of Tiffany's actions. But I have not been in contact with her. She's not been in contact with me. She's not manipulating me. She's not manipulating me to make this video. I did this because of the actions my mom took and how badly she hurt me, my family, and my sister as well. So to be very clear, Tiffany was never involved in any of our family issues. I don't even know how she would have been. So my mom saying that in the documentary was also a big lie. And to make the record very clear, Tiffany is not the reason why I don't have a relationship with my mother. My mother is the reason why I don't have a relationship with my mother, because of her actions. Lastly, I want people to understand that I fully support survivors of SA, and my heart goes out to every survivor, and I feel for every single one of you. And I'm not making this video to discredit anyone who has gone through that. That is not my intentions at all. That being said, I personally did not have that experience, and I don't want to be placed in that narrative without my consent.
See, I'm glad that he said that, because it is one thing for you to have gone through this experience and to think that you had a positive experience, but I'm glad that he still supports the victims of this situation and is not trying to discredit them. And also, I totally believe what he's saying, that Tiffany is not the reason why he doesn't have a relationship with his mom. This mom is batshit crazy. She's nutso. Let's get back to her video.
I'm sorry, but I love you, and that's my job, to care for you and shape you and protect you and sacrifice for you, even if it means you're mad at me. You'll understand one day when you have a child of your own. I just wish you had more friends and family who taught you how to heal instead of how to feed your resentment.
I wish you had more family that taught you how to heal. You just went on this whole tangent about how it's your job to protect your kid and how that's your job. Why didn't you teach your kid how to do this? Why weren't you a strong role model and a good mom to your kid?
If I had done the things you were accusing me of, my hair, nails, clothes would look more like the lifestyle I had been accustomed to, and I would not have had to sell my car and my mother's car to drive the one I currently have. I'm practically homeless, and I'm on food stamps. My hair falls out at the roots, and here are my nails.
Here's your narcissist woe is me statement so that everybody watching feels bad for her. I don't believe that this mom got a lot of the money, especially if he only paid her $17,000. Sounds like a big number, but that probably didn't even cover her legal fees. So I believe that she's broke, but why are you telling this to us?
My doctor says it's stress due to the things like this happening right now. Your fans know that I've not been on social media, on cruises, or hot air balloons, or trips around the world. And I agree with them, and they've given you good advice for the most part.
Your fans know that I have not been in hot air balloons. Nope, nobody said that. What? Also, like, your fans, they know and they are trusting me and they gave you good advice. Your fans are backing me. Like, are you trying to weaponize his own fans against him?
But I feel obligated to respond because my children are hurting. With regards to the banking withdrawals on the screenshot you shared, those are to the Way to Save account. These are transfers you and I made together to the tax savings account for IRS purposes. We jointly decided to save 50% of the funds for taxes. I have receipts documenting all transfers related to taxes and expenses, and we'll go over them with you when you are ready.
I do fully believe her on this. I would like to see more receipts in order for somebody to substantiate their side on this. But my gut instinct is leaning towards that there is a logical explanation for this and that she's telling the truth here.
Displaying your finances on social media is again poor advisement from your inner circle, especially since you requested those items be sealed in court from public view.
She's talking so sweetly and innocently in this weird manufactured voice for the entire video, and then making snarky comments like this. This is poor advisement. Okay, is this an apology video or what? What are we doing here? Also, I've heard people saying like, okay, Jentzen just talks to the camera and he's completely natural and authentic about it and she's reading off of a script. Okay. I personally don't think there's anything wrong with reading off of a script. If you feel more eloquent reading off of a script and you're somebody that stumbles off of your words, go ahead, write it out by all means, as long as that's a better way for you to get your words across and you know that you're actually going to get your message across, go ahead and read it off of a script. But does anything about her message come across as authentic to you?
The court-ordered therapy you agreed to for your emancipation would be the right place for this. I simply wanted to address the issue promptly, though, Jentzen. And if I cared about the money, I would have left you in the squad. I wish you were supported by family members and friends who encourage you to do the right thing, but it's unfortunate that those surrounding you are only making things worse. Now that you are an adult, I will treat you like one. There's a difference between being a mature man and not an adult child.
I just love you so much, Jentzen. Mommy's your number one fan, you adult child. This lady just like gives me the chills. She's so unsettling. She's giving Mother Knows Best vibes from Tangled.
I would love to talk more about this with you, and it should be handled maturely, not by people who dance in videos around you and suggest that a video is how to handle it. However, it was never a private matter because of all you do on social media.
Oh my god, this woman is unhinged. Like all of the snarky, like underhanded remarks or backhanded remarks, like, yeah, you shouldn't trust people that dance in videos. These TikTok dancers, they're leading you astray here. And you shouldn't make a video. It's not the proper, mature, adult thing to do. That's why I responded in a video format. And it's all because of you. Because your choice to put yourself out there in videos. This woman is truly unhinged.
You can't have it both ways. But I pray God will continue to watch over you and the rest of the family for all that you're doing during this difficult time. And I'm sorry I wasn't who you wanted me to be. Everything I did was to protect you and other parents and other children so they are not manipulated, violated, or silenced. I love you to the moon and back, Mom.
And world peace. How did I look? Did my crying look real?
And to close all this out, there's a lot more to this story, but I want to thank all of my supporters out there who have been with me every step of the way and who have watched me grow up. Please don't go out in my comment sections or anywhere else after this and spread hate to my mom or to anyone else. Even though these things are true, my mom does not deserve that. There's been a lot of you in my comment section telling me to go call my mom. Reconciliation will happen on my time and my family's time. And to my mom, I still have love in my heart for you. I don't know who you have become, but I miss the mother I knew when I was young.
And then we have this choice slideshow at the end of these endearing photos of him and his mom and his family. I don't know. Why is this online? Why are we seeing this entire situation unfolding in the first place? Your guess is as good as mine. And I think that is about it from me for today. Again, just a reminder before we go, if you wanted to check out the Patreon for a shout out in all of my videos and early access to all of my YouTube videos, make sure to check out the Patreon link in the pinned comment. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.